to WSSR here in Sanford, Maine. We are at the Sanford High School with Shae Horrigan, a senior, and Ethan Dube, a junior. And we are going to get an update from them on the student leadership activities they've been doing for the past year. Ethan, could you share with us your leadership role here in Sanford?
Well, I've been involved with a lot of youth activities like Strategies for a Stronger Sanford and Key Club. Those are just a couple though. And I've also been involved a lot with the Sanford Vision, which we've been going through for a while.
Can you explain what that is, or some of that activity that you have been involved in regarding the Sanford Vision?
Well, the Sanford Vision is student-centered proficiency-based learning, which basically means a student will move along at their own pace through school instead of being forced to wait for the teacher or the other students. And I've been going to trainings with the Reinventing Schools Coalition to learn more about that and how to teach other people about it.
You said that you went to a training with Reinventing School Coalition. What did that do?
Well, the first year I went, I learned a lot about how SCPBL works and how it's a lot different from our schooling system, but once you get down to it, it's better than our schooling system. And the next year, I reviewed that in the next year, but we also learned more about how to teach other people instead of just teaching yourself about it.
And Shae, you also went to that?
Yes.
And could you give us any other insights about it?
The second time around, we formed a speakers bureau, which comes from the part where Ethan said that we learned how to teach it. So they actually went to a teacher workshop meeting and presented on how to frame the student-centered proficiency-based learning.
When you went to present it, who was there at that?
There were a lot of teachers, and also there were a few parents that came, and we taught them about how student-centered proficiency-based learning actually works and how much work is needed to change it, but once we get to it, it'll be better for everyone.
And we also went to the Celebration of Learning as a group and had some casual conversations with people there, and we were introduced as people to talk to if you had any questions on the vision.
And how did that go?
It went well. We got a lot of good feedback and remarks from other people. They really liked hearing it from the students.
Is there anything else that you've done around the student-centered learning?
We've worked with Our Schools, Our Future, helping them get parents involved in the education shift and their own children's education, and showing them that they have a voice and they want to be heard.
How is the community receiving you, or adults in general? How do they receive your leadership role?
Well, adults are especially supportive of me, especially my parents. Without them, I wouldn't be able to go anywhere because I can't drive. So I need them to help me get places so I can help lead the community. And other adults which have learned about SCPBL or have we've talked to, they've been supportive and willing to change the school system for the better.
Nice. Anything to add to that?
Well, the people who are supportive of what we're saying, they agree and they're very supportive. But if they don't really agree with what we're saying, they're not like arguing with us. They just, they don't mind us.
So can you think of an instance maybe where you were sharing with one of those people who weren't really in favor of it, and after you talked to them for a little while, they might have felt a little more in favor of it, or at least more open to learning more about it?
Well, that happens a lot with our peers in general, but mostly with adults, not really. Because,
okay. So you did a peer forum on Thursday morning in Richmond, and had some students come to that. Did you feel that were they students who were just learning about it? Were they accepting it, or?
I think they were introduced to it in school, and a little bit in their English classes, and they just had some more questions about it. So they had a little bit of knowledge of it, but not like the full grasp of it, just a little bit of it that they got in English.
So what is the hardest part about working and learning with adults?
Well, adults are kind of like a double-edged sword. There's the adults that'll bring connections and skills that you may not have, but then there's other adults that don't want to change or bring old-fashioned ideas that aren't applicable to what we're doing with. So there's a balance between trying to find more perspectives with the adults, but there's also challenges that they bring with them.
Interesting. Can you give me some benefits, Shae, of working with adults?
With the vision and working with the vision, it's a really broad kind of idea, and so there's a million different ways you can process it. So having the different minds and the different experiences of the different people that you're teaching it to, and hearing their feedback only makes it better because they have a different point of view.
Can you tell me any challenges that you have faced over the past year working with adults?
The challenge of working with adults sometimes is sometimes you're not entirely clear why you're there. If it's just so they feel better that there's a youth there, like to listen and maybe give feedback if they give them like a little breath in between what they're talking about.
Can you think of any challenges, Ethan, that you face working with adults?
Well, like I already said about the perspective issue, but then there's also an issue that there's a generation divide between the younger generation that knows certain things and the older generation that maybe not is so good with technology or something like that, where there's an issue there trying to get everyone on the same page, but they aren't starting on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
The expectations they have for us can sometimes be higher than what we can do. They give us a lot of stuff to do and want us to do it all, or sometimes it's lower than what we'd like, which is just listen or just be there.
And so do you feel your voices have been heard and that you have made a difference over the past year?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Awesome. Thank you very much, both of you.